Hello everyone, we're back again, and today we're looking at frames again. This time, well, in the last video we were also looking at frames in its how we can utilize them in our program, and we've made those changes, or we've put the other parts which were forms into this main program as frames. So now we've got this little quote function here that you can see. We've also got our breathing exercise here, which I'll show you. We're going to talk about how this part came into existence. It's a bit better than it was before. We also have this little reset timer thing. It won't be doing much in terms of sound, but it will do a countdown, and then we have our little about screen, which is also our home screen. Today though, like I said, we want to concentrate on this particular page here and how we get this sort of appearance here with an image with a paint box which has a transparency, or an opacity I should say, and yeah, basically we're going to go from there. So let's get started. So you can see, like I said, it is a paint box. And in the previous one we would not have had an image in the background. The other thing is that if I do have an image and you do just slap a paint box with a solid background, it can look a bit well, not very pretty. So let's close the program down and we'll have a look at how we did this. The one thing though I do want to point out is in the frame here, if we can find it. Oh, here it is, right here. I am loading or I have got an image already part of the frame, so whatever space is taken up by the image is going to be part of the program. And if you did want to have, say, a selection of images which a person might want to choose from, then you either A, would have to use some sort of image list, or my preferred option would be to have them on disk and to then just load the picture when the program, or when the frame becomes active, and basically work it from there. So we will look at now some of this code as a result of what I have done is unnecessary, but it's still here for the moment. So down here, all this code here which is commented out, so this essentially is a paint function. This was the original code which was part of the other program form, which displayed the progress of the little progress bar and the action that should be performed. This time round, what we're using is we're still using a paint box, and we're still using a frame here. We're still using, but we are using the BGRA. So we have moved into, or starting to use, some components which come with, or that you can install into Lazarus and go from and here. So we're not using the full BGRA controls here yet. We're just using part of that set of components, and that will allow us to use some opacity with our paint box here. So what we might do is go all the way down to the bottom and look at how this code here is changed to use a how we can use a bitmap to create an image, for lack of a better word, that has that opacity feature, and we can put that progress bar on top of it. So the first thing here that we need to do is to create a bitmap that will be the size of our paint box. The other thing I should also mention perhaps here is that what I have done, my paint box is just down the bottom here, and I have got the left, bottom and right anchors all set. So that means, you know, if the form should grow or shrink, the height won't change, but it will stretch as needed otherwise. So in order to first of all achieve this opacity feature, we're going to use this fill round rect function call, and basically it's essentially going to be the whole of the paint box area here. It's not obvious, but I'm also using rounded corners here, and what I found is the best color to use, and this is honestly when I'm using Canva, having a black background with a heavy heavy transparency allows the image behind it to come through, and and still allows the text to be quite visible. This function also, if we look at it, also has a number of parameters which are have default values, which is why I have put in the this part here, commented out, because it is a default. And what you will find here, I wonder if I could just go to there. So you do have these other possibilities here. So whether you want to set it, accept transparent, you can do a linear blend, etc. So here, like I said, we're wanting to use transparency. So and that basically is ultimately what achieves this appearance when, if I run the program again, you can, if you look at the form closely, the image here is darker, but you can still see the image itself. So, in actual fact, it could could be part of the image anyway. This line here hasn't changed, there's nothing different there. But also here is where we are, there is a change here in terms of how the bar is drawn. Here we're basically creating a rectangle, which and this part here hasn't really changed from the previous version of the code. If you look at it, basically we're working out how big to draw our progress bar, how far to draw it along. And then here is basically we then just use the gradient fill, and we'll go to that function as well, to show you how that gets performed. So here we have an X, an XY, so basically that's top left and bottom right. What sort of gradient we want? So there are a few different options here. So let's see what they might be. Well, we're not using a custom gradient, I don't think, here. So let's just go back to my code here. It's actually this one here we're using. So our two colors, what our gradient type is, the top left point, the bottom right point again, and what sort of drawing mode we're going to be using. And then you've got all of the other parameters here are defaults. And if you're not familiar with it, the reason why we would have this override keyword being used is because we've got multiple functions with the same name, so you can use either of them. There are a lot of functions, procedures in this class that you might want to have a look at. Page, and I will include a link in the description below. Basically, there's a lot of basic functions which, let's say, give you greater control over what you might be able to achieve by yourself. But the other thing also here is that if this stuff here exists and it doesn't add much in terms of cost to your program, in terms of how big it makes your program, what functions you're using, etc. So, and then the so once we've drawn that bar here, and by the way, we are still supporting the horizontal versus vertical part, then is to just work out where to draw the text here. At the minute, like I said, I've got a couple of things hard coded rather than to use my settings or configuration unit from before, and I am still working out or learning how to do this. Now the last part here was a little tiny bit tricky in that the first time when I was playing with the how to draw that bitmap to the screen, it wasn't coming out as I expected in terms of it having that opacity, and it turns out that we have to use a draw function. And the draw function basically takes in these parameters here. The first one being the canvas we're going to put it onto, the X and the Y parameters, so where it's going to be drawn from, and whether or not it's going to be opaque. So in our case here, we do not want it to be opaque, so basically we just want to have it coming out as is. And so just to show you what it would look like if we were to change this parameter here, because I think that's actually a default one as well. Yeah, opaque is true, so if you leave that out, well, basically you need to specify that. So you can see here that it would come out totally black, and that's not a very good look if you ask me. Any color really, other than having some opacity, would not be very nice to look at. So here again we let's go back to our breathing frame here. So we'll set that to false here. And now when we go into it, you can see here that we've got that nice background. So really the other parts of it is that here, like I said, we have also added in a reset function that, like I said, at the moment there is no sound. You can see the time counting down, similar to this the breathing exercise here. It uses a TPaintBox, it uses a timer, and when the timer executes, it will redraw the image. The code is already up on GitHub, so if you want to download it, you can have a look at the code behind there and see what you find. And otherwise here, like I said, this becomes our home screen or our about screen. And here, well, the P could be Pascal, the P could be patience, the P could be whatever you want it to be. So that's a little icon there, and our program is starting to take shape now. So we need to add in like settings, have a few more other things to be added in, excluding changing the including changing the name on the caption, because that's just sticking out at the moment. The way the menu appears on the left hand side, can also be improved. So little way to go yet. Oh, and also then there is also that the layers of music and sound that we can also put into here. So that's where we are with the next part of the program. If you're interested, don't forget to have a look at the code. You can download it if you want to, play with it to your heart's content. If you want to help out, you can also let me know. So that's about it for this particular video. So this is the Pascal Wellness Project in its current state. Let me know what you think. I can't wait to hear your comments. Until next time, happy coding, and I'll see you then, and bye.